Good morning. So I want to issue a little bit of a disclaimer before we get started. Any pictures that you see out there of a young blonde-haired girl from Nebraska, feel free to laugh at the hairstyle, the clothing. I will not be offended. I was surprised when I saw a few of them myself. But welcome to the 40th anniversary kickoff. It's going to be a really fun and exciting year. We are going to be celebrating all year long with a lot of events every month, including a big street fair party in November, which will be our big party for the year. So lots of great things going on throughout the year. To start us off this morning, Roger McLean will provide us with a blessing.
Thank you, Kendra. Bow your heads, please. Our God and our Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together as a special family, both staff and residents, to celebrate this remarkable milestone, the 40th anniversary year of the Royal Oaks Life Care Community. We thank you for the inspiration of the founding men like the Reverend Illingworth and Roe Walker and others who had the compassion and vision to launch the establishment of this great institution. We thank you for the past generations of staff who served for so many years and dedicated their lives to provide the care that residents needed and enjoyed in the sunset years of their lives. We thank you for our current loyal staff who continue to provide us this same remarkable place where we live to enjoy life's blessings. In the years to come after this year, we ask for wisdom and commitment to continue to make Royal Oaks to be a beacon of light on the hill for all those who gather in our gates seeking life care. And throughout the year ahead, as we continue to celebrate this 40th anniversary, may our hearts and minds be filled with the gifts of your Spirit: love, joy, peace, kindness, generosity, and gentleness. And may we be guided throughout the year by your Spirit in the times we need you most. In the name of Christ, amen.
Thank you, Roger. And now Dick Jorgensen will read a declaration, an anniversary declaration from the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Kendra. Whereas the Board of Trustees of People of Faith Incorporated, together with the residents and staff, view with pride and fulfillment the past years. Whereas the board, being endowed with the power to declare 2023 to be the 40th anniversary year of the Royal Oaks Life Care Community, therefore, all residents and staff are invited to join the Board of Trustees in the celebration by participating in the many events which are planned for the year 2023, our 40th anniversary year. Thank you for being here.
So just a couple things that I found about the year 1983 that you might find interesting. Return of the Jedi, one of the Star Wars movies, was the #1 movie that year. And for you sports fans, you Packers fans, Aaron Rodgers was born in 1983. How about that? And a gallon of gasoline was $1.23. A gallon of milk was $2.24. A postage stamp was 20 cents. And some of the slang, the 80s slang words were like totally, gag me with a spoon, and wig out, go wild. I don't remember that, but maybe so. I'd like to introduce our 40th anniversary resident committee members. So if you all would, when I say your name, just stand so the residents know who you are. And these folks will be helping us throughout the year. They'll be helping us hand out giveaways and serving as greeters at some of the different events. So we have Betty Pruitt, Joyce Erickson, Don and Shirley Gill, Ray Damer, Ed Allen, Carolyn Vinson, saw Carolyn here, Marshall Oakes, Chuck Lundeen, Lowell Spooner, Roger and Lori McLean, Doreen Muir, and Bill Gasta and Carol Bryan. So thank you to them for... So I think one of the things that you'll have to look forward this year is Ed Allen is writing a historical feature every month in the Acorn. You probably saw the one for January already. And we'll be doing that every month, which is a great way for you all that maybe don't know a lot about our history is to learn a little bit more, and for the rest of us to be reminded of some of the historical events. And then Bill Gasta and Carol Bryan are working with Ed, and they are going to be putting together historical pictures and documents. They will get them enlarged, and those will be on display down in the hub area or by the mailboxes in one of those two areas. So you'll be able to see some blown up pictures. The smaller versions are in the Acorn, and then we'll get those enlarged so that you can see those. So that will be fun to see throughout the year. So we're now going to show you a video which features Davis Illingworth, one of our founders, and he's talking about the miracles of Royal Oaks and the things that had to happen for Royal Oaks for everything to come together. And then we'll convene again after the video and just do a few housekeeping duties, and then you're free to go and look at all of the memorabilia and get some refreshments. So Nada, you're going to start the video, I think.
I guess because I'm the sage, he's insisting that I sit in the rocker and rock while I speak. Now that may be for a couple reasons. He knows that when I speak from standing, it lasts longer. Maybe he thinks I'll rock and fall asleep and we can all go home sooner. But Cullen insists that I sit down and rock.
The rocking is not essential, but I think you should enjoy this, don't you?
And greetings to those of you who may be watching on our TV. The subject for this evening is how this all began. And I want to begin by saying it began 45 years ago. And then I must explain that to you. 45 years ago, I was pastor in Mercer, Pennsylvania. Betty McKay lived there at the same time. And one day my neighbor came to me and she said, "Davis, I would like you to go call on a woman on Market Street. She needs your help." She said, "Just knock on the door and go in." So I went up to see this lady, and I knocked on the door and I went in, and she was in bed in the kitchen with her galoshes on. It was a cold November damp day, and Betty knows what they were like in Mercer, Pennsylvania. Cold and damp, and she was a very cold woman. I talked with her and said, "How can I help you?" She had 3 very deep problems. One, she had no nutrition. When I called on her that day, she had had nothing to eat. Secondly, she had no friends. The reason the neighbor wanted me to go see her was because she thought I'd be her friend. So she had no medical facility. No one was interested in her health. About 2 weeks later, I went to see her again. This time she was chopping up a cherry table to burn in her fireplace to keep warm. She still had no medical help. She still had no friend, and I thought, there has to be a better way to life than this. I next heard about her in the county home, and those of us of our age know what that is. I then went within a year to be the executive of Erie Presbytery, which was 47 churches in northwestern Pennsylvania. We lived in Titusville, Pennsylvania. And one day, a beautiful home on a hill in Titusville became available for sale for $250,000, a beautiful colonial house. And I thought, this is what the Lord wants me to do. He wants the presbytery to buy that home, restore it and remodel it, and make it into a life care center. We did it. In my 5 years, we did 3 of them. It was different in those days. It wasn't elaborate as it is now. So I thought of this woman during all of my ministry, and then finally I went to a ball game with Roe Walker, and all of you have heard about this ball game. And it was here that he said to me, what are we now going to do since we've built our church? What's our new program going to be? What are we going to now do for the people? And I said, look, I've had it. He said, I think what we need to do is start a life care center in Sun City. I didn't give him much encouragement. I had been the executive in California, and we had 2 life care centers. In the last years of my ministry in California as the executive, we built 2. One was a 27-story life care center in the very center of San Francisco. And if you ever go to the city, go down Geary Avenue to 15,000. Across the street is the Cathedral of the Roman Catholic Church, and across the other side is this 27-story life care center. We did an unusual thing. We built a kitchen to feed 5,000 people. And since then, we have established 4 units out in the city, low-cost units, for people who couldn't afford to go into Sequoia of San Francisco. They are given life care out in their communities. We have 4 satellites, and every day we take meals to them, low cost. And when Rose said, we ought to start a life care center in Sun City, all I could think of was all the hours I had spent as one of the board of Sequoia of San Francisco, and I thought, if I have to spend that much time again in my ministry, it'll clean me out for good. So I wasn't too encouraging. But as I came home that summer, I thought, he's right. That's what that woman in Mercer 45 years ago told me I ought to do. So I appointed Roe as chairman of the committee to do this job because I didn't have enough gumption left. I had just been through it. So he said, okay, and he called, and there's a question whether 9 of us or 15 of us, he called us together at the Arizona Bank and said, now we've got to incorporate, so each of you give me $100. We needed money to to incorporate. And Don in his history may have the accurate figure. And Don will be more accurate than I'll be. But at any rate, each of us put in $100 and we incorporated. Now I want to change from how did it all begin to talk to you about the miracles of Royal Oak. I think there are 5 miracles. Let me tell you about them. The first is a miracle of land. When we incorporated, those of us who were interested in this, and it grew to be 15, we decided the only piece of land that we wanted to get was this 33 acres that Del Webb wanted to sell. And Del Webb had it on the market for $4 million. Our people went to John Meeker and said, John, we think one thing that Sun City needs is a Fine Life Care Center. And we think it would help you if you would encourage us by selling that piece of land to us for $1,500,000. And he said, that would be impossible. He said, if I went to our board and told them that you wanted to buy that piece of land for $1,500,000, they would say that's impossible. We said, but go. And Roe and Spike Trapp and Don and some of them went to John Meeker, and he said, yes, they said they would do it. Then we said, we need this piece of land, and he agreed to sell it to us for $1,500,000. To me, that was a miracle. Then the second miracle is the miracle of money. When John Meeker told us we could have the land for $1,500,000, we went back to him and said, but John, we don't have any money yet. And we said we'd like to go to the community and ask them to support us and to give us $1,200,000 at no interest. So we can't go to the people and ask them to give us this money at no interest unless you give us that $1,500,000 at no interest. And John said, well, we'll think about it. And the miracle was they thought about it and they said you can have $1,500,000 at no interest. So we got the money. Then the people, we went to the people and we said, Del Webb has given us $1,500,000 at no interest. Will you as a community help us raise $1,200,000? And this community gave us $1,200,000 at no interest. To me, that was a miracle. The third miracle, I think, is the building. When it came time to build, we had no money. So it was necessary to issue bonds. And many of you, I know, purchased those bonds, and if you did, I bet you wish you still had some of them. They were good bonds, and they were valuable at 10% and 12% interest, Don, right? We went to one of the concerns that would issue bonds, and we said we need $36,500,000 to build Royal Oaks. We were with a tour group in Australia, and we were gone for a couple of weeks, and when I got back, I went immediately to buy a bond. and there were no bonds left. $36,500,000 worth of bonds were gone in just a few weeks. To me, that was a miracle. It was a miracle. The fourth miracle was the way we overcame our obstacles. I cannot have you imagine the kind of political maneuvering we had to go through to build this place. I often felt, Don, the supervisors had something against Sun City and they didn't want us to do anything nice. We fought with the supervisors. The only one that I ever felt was any kind of a friend was Atkinson. I did more praying. It seemed to me every week we were going to some lawyer, or every week we were meeting with these supervisors, and every time it got to be such a struggle, and they got meaner and meaner, it seemed to me. And I often feel if it hadn't been for Don, he was such a detailed guy, and these supervisors and all these people would come up with these harebrained ideas, and then Don would say, now wait a minute. And I'll never forget, they didn't want us to build our nursing unit, our 100-bed nursing unit. They fought us the whole way. And do you realize that to fight these politicians, it cost us $90,000 in lawyer fees? And 2 weeks after they had approved us, they took off all the regulations, and now you can build all of these life care centers without any political maneuvering whatever. But we had to set the groundwork. And I remember for one case, they didn't want us to build a nursing unit, and we got in this meeting, and Don said, look, you're closing Valley Hospital, and they have a nursing unit, and you're losing 27 beds. You better let us build our nursing unit. And your argument won that day, do you remember? And I tell you, that to me was a miracle. The obstacles you cannot believe. But by the grace of God, and I want to tell you, I did believe more in prayer after we were through with some of those maneuverings. We started to build. The fifth miracle to me was the leadership. You people can't begin to know how much time the members of this board have put in. Hours and hours of time to see that this would happen. They didn't get a penny. And I often used to try to get them to put their mileage in. We were going 3 times some weeks down to Phoenix to discuss these problems with the lawyers. 3 trips down and back, down and back. I said, at least take your expenses off. Then they'd eat down there. No, they would cover all that. So all of these months, all of these years, they have given of their time to make this possible. One guy I think of this evening is Milton Rex. Milton died some time ago, but he was down here every day as an engineer, studying the plans. I remember one day they brought a bunch of cement in, and he checked it out, and he said, no, that's not good enough. Take it back. He was so careful to see that everything was done in the right way. And when we had about completed the buildings, the company that was our management company said, he has been so valuable to us that we want to make a contribution to you of $35,000. And so they gave us $35,000 for what Milton Rex had done to help us in this program. But not only Milton. The fellow who got me started in this at a baseball game, and I ought to tell you about that baseball game. I am a preacher's son. And I never went to a baseball game in my life on Sunday. My dad would have strapped me until I bled in the back if I'd gone to a baseball game on Sunday. My friend Roe invited me to Cincinnati and encouraged me to preach in his church, a very fine church, Knox Presbyterian in Cincinnati. I was happy to agree. Before I went into the pulpit, he said, "Now, preacher, you better cut it short this morning, for it'll take us a while to get to the ball game." Now, here I am, a preacher's boy, never allowed to do anything on Sunday, and he's taking me to a ball game on Sunday afternoon and telling me to cut it short. But it was at that ball game where this dream became a reality. Now, let me just say a couple more things in closing. We're coming in if we ever sell our house and if I ever get rid of all my toys. It's a struggle, and all of you have been through it, except it's so much worse for us. At least it seems like it. So, the other day, some people were in to see us, and they said to my wife, "Why are you going in there?" A lot of people keep wondering. And she gave 5 reasons. So I wanted to share with you the 5 reasons my wife gave why we're coming in here. The first, she said, "I think it's the best gift we can give to our family." She said, "I don't want them to worry about us in the future. And this is the best thing we can do for our 4 boys. Once we're in there, they don't have to worry about us ever again." First. Secondly, she said, "I will feel secure there." So there's a security involved. Third, she said, "I will feel the support of friends and staff." The woman in Mercer had no friends. She had no staff. The interesting thing about that woman in Mercer, I shouldn't digress this way. They put her in the county home. And my neighbor came over to me one day and she said, "Davis, they've put our friend in the county home and they're selling all of her furniture in the house." And she said, "The bank is selling it." And she said, "I want to tell you that there's a chest in that house that won first prize at the first World's Fair in Chicago as a piece of prize furniture." She said, "I'd like you to go look at it." I went to look at it. It was all black. It had been painted many times, but I could see underneath it had some beautiful veneer work, and it was beautifully made. She said, "Why don't you go and talk to the banker about it?" So I went to the banker and I said, "I'd be interested in that chest." He said, "I'm sorry, they won't let us sell it piece by piece. You'd have to buy everything in the house." And I said, "Well, I don't have any money." Chet, don't you laugh. I didn't. But I said, "I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll bid on all the furniture in the house." And there wasn't a whole lot except this chest, for what I would give you for that chest. So I put in my bid, and he called me to say, "You got the house full of furniture." But that was a miracle too. I had a man in the church that wanted to go into the antique business, and I said, "Yeager, take it all. All I want is that chest and the desk in there. You take everything else and start the antique business." So he did. About a year later, the family of this woman came to me and said, "Sir, we understand you have the chest that was in our aunt's home. I said, you're exactly right. And they said, we'd like to buy it from you for $750. I said, I wouldn't part with that. If you'd been decent to that woman, you could have had it. If you had treated her fairly, I would give you the chest. But the way you treated her, I wouldn't give it to you for love nor money. They used to write us about every Christmas, but they finally gave up. They knew I meant what I said. So, I'm sorry, I digressed. Support of friends and staff was Gene's third reason. The fourth was life care. And the fifth, sorry about this one, ease of living. I have to talk to her about that one, you know. And let me just say also, since we started this many years ago now, and I just want you to be aware of all these people who have served on the board. They've been very special, and there have been so many things that have come to pass since we opened it, like the Roe Walker Center, like residential aids, like the clinic, like the Virginia Silvis Lounge, like the enlarged nursing unit that we're going to build, like the chapel. New emphasis on the employees. The board has done an outstanding job. And when you write the final chapter, don't forget what they have done to keep this on a very sound financial basis. There won't be a better place in the whole world on a more sound basis than they've kept this. So, there we are. Now, I'm sorry, Cullen, that's where we are. Roe's sitting back there. Roe has been great, but I want to talk a little bit about this guy, Don Ingman, who's written the history. Whenever I didn't know the answer to some problem, I could always go to Don, and he had it in his head. He knew what we had to do and when we had to do it. So he has been a very strong force. I'm glad he wrote a history, because if anyone knows it, he does. So, Roe, you can rock now. I've rocked myself out. Come on, Roe, you rock a while. Did I tell anything that wasn't true? Did I cheat? Where are we?
Come up here and have a picture with you.
Oh, gosh, that's great. All right, thank you. I hope I answered your questions. Sorry about that.
That was taped, I believe, at the 10-year anniversary, and where he was sitting is what we used to call our convocation room, which was a little small room off the main dining room. That was our auditorium. Yeah. So before you go out to the lobby area there, we have 3 prizes to give away. And under your chair, you don't have to bend, you don't have to get out and lift your chair up. Just reach underneath the front of your chair and see if you have a little tag. You'll feel it under there. And if you do, hold it up and we'll know you've got the prize. Just kind of in the middle of your chair. See, oh, there's one. Nate got one, and anybody else find one in the kind of in the center of your chair? I know there's one over here. Oh, there's one, and there should be one over here, just in the middle of your chair. If not, it's maybe at a. Yes. Yes, you get one of the bonds, one of the original bonds. No. So Chuck's coming around with your gifts. So enjoy the rest of the morning. And anybody over here there, Chad over here's got one. Okay, thanks for coming and enjoy all the you.